Hello, golf fanatics. It's Billy Ho here, coming at you with another PGA course preview. We are heading to north of the border, and Ontario, Canada, for the Hamilton Golf and Country Club hosting this year's Canadian Open. This course it's hosted several times, but most recently 2019, when Rory McIlroy dominated on Sunday, shot a 61 en route to a 7-stroke win, leaving Shane Lowry in his wake. So today, what we're going to do is, like normal, if you watch my shows, we're going to go through a course preview, talk a little weather, and then we're going to jump over to Fantasy National and take a look at some models and some stats and start formulating a type of player pool. The pricing is out for DraftKings. Billy Ho contest is live. So jump on in there. Let's get it up there. I need more money, baby, because I won that baby last week for the first time in quite some time, actually. And I didn't even have Davis Riley. Had a really good week altogether, actually. I played really light. I actually hammered down Thursday Showdown AM Wave and 3x'd my entry there, which paid for my week already. And then so everything else was just gravy train. So me being able to pull out the old Billy Ho classic there yesterday was kind of crazy with the quote unquote carnage that went on at the Charles Schwab Classic. The wind kicked up. The greens were very, very firm. I didn't mention in my video, my apologies on that, but the course renovations were really making things difficult with as far as green firmness and fairways hardened up and everything. And so things got tough. So we'll look into Hamilton Golf and Country Club. But first, we're going to touch on a few of the raging stories that are going to be going on in the player pool after the break. So stay tuned. Please subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button. Leave a comment in the comment section, questions, anything you got. Don't forget the Billy Ho contest. Let's get going. So the PGA here has gone TMZ lately. So we'll start off with the release of the cam footage of the Scottie Scheffler arrest. And it shows somewhat what happened. It really doesn't tell the whole story, but it does tell a different story. You can't really tell where this police officer, Gillis, allegedly, quote unquote, claims he was dragged by the car and then ripped his pants, his $80. Everybody's talking about the $80 pants. But anyway, he claims he injured his wrist too. And I'll tell you what, you watch him going across that parking lot, it looks like he hurts his wrist when he's whacking the side of Scottie's SUV with his clipboard or whatever. Because I don't know what it did. I guess maybe when he was pulling away, something caught his pants, and that's why he kind of turned and ran after him like that, because he doesn't appear like he's chasing after him like he's evading the police officer. He's casually pulling in just like nothing's wrong. And then the officer goes darting across the street after him. So we'll never know for sure. His arraignment is here in my hometown, Louisville, Kentucky, this Wednesday. I don't know if he's going to be there. I thought they were indicating he was. If I knew for sure he was going to be there, I might go downtown and see if I can get a seat somewhere or find out what's going on with the arraignment. I can't imagine that the Louisville, the prosecutors and all that are really going to push this thing too hard because they're already being painted in a pretty negative light. So we'll see what happens with that. But the next up is kind of a bombshell. This is more the TMZ type shit. There was rumors going around Rory McIlroy and CBS's own Amanda Balionis, or is it Renner, have been rumored to be having a little romance going on, a little side action. Not really sure. They were caught being really super chummy when he won the golf tournament at Wells Fargo a couple weeks ago. Well known that Rory filed for divorce using Tiger Woods' lawyer, filing and gonna hammer down on that prenup. Oh, girl's not gonna get it out of that prenup. So we'll see what's going on. Amanda Balionis, actually was spotted way back in Genesis in February. Somebody spotted her without the wedding ring. So she was Renner. I remember when she got married in 2022, they were like, they called her Amanda Renner, and now she's Amanda Balionis. I think that marriage is probably on the rocks. They were only married 2 years. Rory married about 7, I think. But I first caught on to Amanda several years ago when I first started playing PGA golf. And yes, she's hot, and she used to wear those little tight skirts, like golf skirts, spandex looking things, and everybody got their eye candy with her upper chest and everything. And but anyway, she was really personal with the golfers and engaging, and really one of the better interviewers post, getting them off the golf course and everything. So I really kind of enjoyed what she did, more her substance more than her appearance. So anyway, so she got married in 2022. Now we don't know what's going on. Like I said, and then there's people reporting like he's been hanging out, running around town in San Diego, picking up takeout under Amanda's name, Rory McIlroy. So it's an interesting development, to say the least. But anyway, I'll finish off the major news with a seriously sad state of affairs. Most recently, the news, obviously, most of you have heard if you follow golf at all. Grayson Murray, a polarizing golf figure in the social media world, to say the least, evidently committed suicide. It was confirmed by his family. And he's had issues over the year with, I think, substance abuse and depression and everything. And he's had been well known for what he did Friday, just not playing well. He actually, I think, shot 68 on Friday, and then he came out and he was making bogey, bogey, bogey. He couldn't get it going, and then he just withdrew with about 2 or 3 holes left to play. And that's what he's been known to do from time to time when he was struggling. Was he would just say, I called him take my ball and go home, Grayson mode. So he would just quit and walk off the course, basically. But he seemed to have gotten his life in order, his golf game definitely in order. He won the Sony Open early in January, so he was had to be flying high. He got his PGA Tour card renewed for another 2 years. He got engaged. He was set to be married. He seemed like he was getting help. They talked to him at the Masters, and he was really talking about, or in some interviews or whatever. And his girl was caddying for him at the par 3, and all this stuff. And it just goes to show you that depression is definitely an ongoing battle. It doesn't matter how well you're doing in life. If you're just battling depression, it's still going to be there, and it doesn't take much to trigger it. So he may have just been having a really shitty week. Who knows? But you really got to keep an eye on people in your family and your life like that, to spot the signs. So anyway, enough on that. We are going to now get into the golf course momentarily. Okay, the Canadian Open. We'll start with a brief touch on the weather. It looks like a pretty good amount of rain early in the week, so that should soften the golf course up a little bit. Little to no wind to worry about, it appears. So the only thing weather-wise, it looks like it's going to be chilly, under 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the AM. So guys going off in the first few groups are going to need some extra layers. But other than that, it looks like great conditions for scoring. A par 70 course that Rory shot 22 under on when he shot that 61. Well, I think we're going to see some low 60s, some sub 65s, and we're talking about like a 4 under cut, something of that nature. So there are about 153. It's an open golf tournament, 153, I think, on the menu. So hopefully there will be lower 6 of 6s in DFS. And now Hamilton Golf Club, classical par 70 golf course, just a little over 7,000 yards. So it's a short golf course, lots of short par 4s. There's a couple of long par 3s that kind of add a little bit more distance to it. But the renovations, so I guess shortly after that in 2019 Open when Rory won, all 18 greens have been rebuilt, adding 1,000 square feet on average, different contours, providing more opportunities for creative pin positions. It's been creeping bent grass. It had replaced that old nasty bent grass that they had before. So it's already had a few years to settle. It's not going to be like Colonial where it was because it takes a few years for the when you replace greens for it to settle in and not be so bouncy and firm. So bunkers were rebuilt, dug deeper, more challenging. The greens have those runoffs where you can use the Texas wedge. You can putt from off the green, more short game imagination. So that's always a good thing. And then on the Fantasy National hole breakdown, you can see the composition. The par fours mostly run from 400 to 450. I believe holes 11 and 14 will be longer. Don't be completely in line with the Fantasy National course breakdown. I went on the PGA Tour website, and the holes are somewhat different. There are 11 and 14. I think 11 is one of the two is over 500 yards, and the other one's like 580. Those are the two long ones. The two par fives are very gettable. Should see some eagle looks there. Uh, Hole five looks like it may play as a drivable 300 yards plus, a little over that, but it was listed at 346 on the PGA website. But that doesn't mean these guys ain't going to go at it at 346, no doubt, because they are steadily knocking at 346. And if it's going to be not super soft, you can definitely see these guys driving the green there. So we're talking about ball striking here, baby. And it's also strokes gained approach, big time. So not so much like accuracy off the tee or distance because everything's short. You're going to be hitting a lot of wedges around the green game. I'm not really going to be looking too much at that either. Approach distribution is going to yield a lot more wedges, 100 to 150 into bigger greens. Proximity from that range will do well in your models this week. So speaking of models, let's jump over to Fantasy Golf National and take a look at some of those. Okay, model number one. I went heavy approach and greens gain, birdie or better, all that kind of good stuff. There, I think it's going to be a lot more leaning toward like your DP World Tour kind of guys. Obviously, Canada heavy. You better have you some Canadians in the mix. Um, Strokes gained par four is what I went with. You can see over here. I didn't put weight on these. I put all my weight on just strokes gained approach in general. I don't like depending on buckets, but I wanted to see where those two buckets were and to see if we can get some guys lining up. Obviously, Rory is going to rank really high. It's with this particular model. It appears that Alex Noren, if I re-rank the models, uh, for some reason he's got it on Rory here. I guess he's a little bit better in some of the, I guess maybe the par four category or something. I don't know, but it doesn't really make sense to me. Probably I'm not going to really talk too much about that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go back to this one. So going down the top of the list, Rory is going to be uber popular. Your question is going to be, are you going to go all in on him? Probably, because he's got his game lined out. He's won. I believe he won this back to back. I got the golf betting system. I brought this up because I didn't want to so much care about course history, but I wanted to have something that showed these guys in order with recent form, how they did in the previous tournaments. So that's why I have this here. So, but you can see 2019, 2022. Actually, we missed a couple of years with the Canadian Open there with the COVID banning. So, but you can see guys like Thigala and Fleetwood and Lowry. Lowry is a guy that's going to be very interesting. His putting, I got a few things set up here. Over here this is the rolling model for putting, and if you go up to the top and find Shane Lowry, you can see he's normally kills you in the putting factor like he used to, but he went up to all the way to 27 and then all the way to second in putting in his last 4 rounds. So maybe if he's on a good roll with the putter, he is going to be a very dangerous play this week. So, because that's usually what his Achilles heel is. Alex Noren obviously has been playing great golf. People have been playing him. I'm still a little tentative on him, but he's been putting the ball a little better himself lately. But he's also been just really lights out as far as his entire game going. I mean, like I said, I don't pay attention to buckets because he's pretty good, but he's not as good with the wedges. Is what I'll determine from that, because if you just kind of average them out between each other, he's about 90 or something like that. So, but strokes gained approach, he's good. So it's must be the shorter irons he does struggle with. So we'll have to see. Uh, but his model ranks number one, so we're gonna have to. He's gonna be very popular, obviously. Corey Connors is going to be obviously popular. He's Canadian best ball striker in the field, basically. But you can see strokes gained putting 126. That's going to be a problem. Sam Burns, normally a great putter. Sam Burns has been really not good this year at all. But guys like Aaron Rai struggle with the putter. You can see all these guys that struggle with the flat stick. So, but one who does not is Sahith Thagala. This might be a really good spot for him. He's a 10,500. I wonder if he'll be very, very popular. I mean, being the second priced guy, and then you got guys like Shane Lowry's been fire, Norin, and then all these guys, Connors and whatnot. But what sets the gala apart is when I altered this model a hair bit. What I did with this one was I went over the last 2 months. That's why you see 20 rounds a lot, because I didn't want some of these guys in the field to be the last 24 rounds, 12 of them be from last summer or something like that, because I don't think that gives you an accurate read on form. So what I did there was I put last 2 months, so we know it's the last 2 months. Now this one, what I did here was I clicked down here on the less than 7,200 and par 70 just to see how these guys are landing. And if you go up here, Sahith Thagala, it ranks 11th. And you think he just bombs the ball out there. He does. He is not very accurate. You can see he sucks at good drives. But this is a course where he can maybe dial it back a little bit on. I mean, he's really decent in the proximity ranges. That's not terrible. That's probably field average. But he's third in DK points. He's third in par four scoring, fourth in birdies, and third in putting. So I think the larger greens, he's going to be better at greens gained. This seems like a course he can really get down on. So he's going to be a guy I have a lot of interest in. Cameron Young, I'm not really 100% sure I can go here. He's a guy I would like to play, but that putting worries me. I think this is going to be a putting dependent. So you're going to need to be able to roll the rock. And I'll get into that when I get into my little mini player pool. Adam Scott seems to be finding the putter. He's 28th. This might be a good course for him because he has a problem with his driver and being accurate because he tries to hit it too far, in my opinion. So he's 19th in the model. So if he can dial it back a little bit and then get into some shorter wedges and whatnot, even though he doesn't rank very highly in that department, he's 7th in DK. He's 5th in birdie or better, so he's a good DFS play. I don't know about winning the golf tournament. So other people like Tom Kim looked really good. He played really well last week. You can see how well he's rating in the model. So I'm definitely going to have some interest in him. Akshay, definitely going to have some interest in him, even though the putter doesn't seem to be cooperating. I think he could play better on a shorter course. I think Nick Taylor is the defending champion, but he can play because he's really not that long off the tee, but he's a really good ball striker and he can be off and on with the putter, but he's got some really good stats that fit here well. Down a little further, Adam Svensson, I'm going to have a lot of interest in, Canadian. The putter's actually been working out for Sven. That used to be his big Achilles heel, is the old flat stick. But if you go up here and look at the rolling model, let's see if we can find Svensson down here and see where he's been improving. So he all the way up to 60 over the last 4 rounds. So that's a big jump. So if he makes another, you can see the leaps he's made in the last I mean, from 147 to 119, then 119 to 60. So if he jumps up, say, to 40, with the way he strikes it, he should be in good shape to at least make a cut. As long as he's not uber popular. I don't know how popular these Canadians are going to get, but Corey Connors, obviously ball striker. Let's go down a little further here. Ryan Fox, this definitely doesn't look like the course for him. He's just a straight bomber. I think Davis Riley can run him, not run it back for the win, but run it back and compete here, because he was just, the way he was driving the ball. I don't know if he just, if everything was mentally so deep for him this week, but because I mean, that dude was flat dialed in for 4 straight days. Even on Sunday, he didn't wiggle a bit. He came right out and just maintained that lead, and just shot an even par 70, but it was a very good 70, and very good for being the last group out in those conditions too. So I'm not really sure if he's an easy course kind of guy, but he does rank 7th in the model. He's really good on approach. He's been rolling the rock. If you go over here, you can see his last several tournaments, 18, 5, and 9. So he's looking good in that department. So I'll probably play him again, because a lot of people don't like to play the former champ. But I mean, at 7,200, that's not bad. But as you get down here, CT Pan, I played last week. I had him in the Billy Ho winning lineup. He was pretty solid, and I think this is a good course for him because you don't have to hit it far, and he's got good drives, and he's pretty decent with his wedges. He's pretty good across the board, and all he needs is a little help with the putter, and he'll be in good shape. KH Lee, he's an interesting guy, but I don't think he's a fit here. Chan Kim ranking really high in the model and over his last 16. So guys like Chan Kim, I'm not really sure that I'll be playing, but they might be worth the risk. Pat Kazire has been showing up in models a lot lately, and I just want to pause really briefly to see if I can't pull him up and see why. Because I think he's just last couple of rounds he's been. That's good news for him, actually, with gaining on approach like this. Byron in the Houston Open, even though he missed the cut, god awful. But if he gets the putter rolling a little bit, he might be a guy that I might have a little interest in. Charlie Hoffman was first round leader last week, and then he just plummeted, but he's still playing some pretty good golf. Ben Martin, playing some really good golf. This seems like a good course fit for him. And we are in the 5K range, so I don't know who you can find down here. I played Troy Merritt. He made the cut for me last week. He didn't really do all that great. But he didn't really kill your lineup either. He shot even par on Sunday, and other than some other guys that was shooting like 7 and 9 over. So he held his own for a guy that was like, I think $5,400 that made my lineups work. So I got into him a bit. Joel Damon doesn't hit it long, but he's accurate. He just doesn't do much else very good. He's a really bad putter. So I don't know if I can cover that dude or not. Excuse me. Kelly Craft, there he is. That's the one I wanted to mention. I'm glad I come across him and didn't forget. He is popping. 33rd in this model. It's only 4 rounds, but he has been, if you pull his record up here, he doesn't hit it far, obviously, but he's really been look at his approach numbers from the last several tournaments. I know this is going back to Sanderson, but he relies a lot on his wedges and approach game, and as long as he can stay even and then make a few putts, he can get in there. This just seems like the type of tournament that he plays well in, and he is 5,700. So if we go down here and we find Kelly Craft at 5,700, and we're going to see what we got here. Okay. So he's got a 13th. He's got a miscut, but he does have some cuts made. He's got some decent finishes. I thought he might be a little bit more consistent than that. If he'd have made the cut last year, maybe this would look a little bit better, but he can be a guy that shows up from time to time. I really don't know what to think of Pearson Cootie. He was really good. Robbie Shelton, his demise on Sunday helped me win the Billy Ho, but those kind of guys are guys. I'm not going to be trying to play these guys down here because you can see there's history. Like a guy like Snedeker, who's just, ugh, boy, you never know with him. Although with the shorter course, he might be a guy that, you know, because his driver usually just fails him miserably, but he's a wizard. He can make putts, wizard around the greens, that is. So getting down here, this is probably the place where you want to start looking for just stuff that they can do well, like Doherty, pretty solid greens gained, middle of the field, par four scoring, middle of the field, just kind of in the blue. You can see these blue ranges. Blue's not that terrible. You'd like to see some really green, like green lighting up like double R Norman here, but getting down here, I'm really not trying to see anybody down here that I would play that would actually show up. But that's about all I see as far as modeling is concerned. What I want to do before we get out of here is take a look at the DraftKings pricing, and let's blow this up a little bit so we can see really good. And so with Rory up top, are we just plugging in Rory because that's just the safest way to do it? Or do we want to be a little different and try Shane Lowry? I don't know. But we'll try Rory first and then we'll do Lowry or something like that, or maybe just fade the top end guys altogether. But the first thing we want to do is go way down here and try to find us a guy. Let's pop back over here and see if we can't go down here and find a guy that might, like 16th. I don't know about Pearson Cootie. I was really hoping to find somebody that would be right in here somewhere. Party Marty, you never know with him. Let's try Ben Martin at 6K. My in. So that'll get us back up to 7,900. And that basically gives you the room to roam in here. So we can put Svensson in. And then that gives us up to 82. And then you can just kind of creep. I call this the creeper build. So we know we got 8,200, but the more we go underneath, like we take Riley, we get even more money. And now we got 87. Now we can get into here. And Mackenzie Hughes was another one that I mentioned just briefly. So I don't forget, I'll go over here and show you that. He should be right here somewhere. Mackenzie Hughes. He's firing it with the flat stick. And all he needs to do is have a pretty decent ball striking week, and he could surprise. I don't know, win this golf tournament, but you never really know. So, but he's a guy that probably won't get a lot of attention. But we'll put him in as we'll go double Canadians, and we'll fade Corey Connors and see where that leaves us. And then we got a few 9,100 is not too bad. So I'll probably pick a guy here somewhere. I would say it would be either Tom Kim or Adam Scott, I think. I don't know about Aaron Rye. I still can't fully trust Aaron Rye. He's been playing good golf, but he just can't seem to make enough putts to really pay off his price tag. Like he had 8 birdies. Like he played solid golf, no doubles or worse on that course. All he did was 8 pars, 8 bogeys, and 56. Now, in a tournament like this, that's going to suit you just well at 53 points. But this is a tournament you're going to be wanting CJ Cup, Byron Nelson love, where you're going to be wanting 100 points out of a guy rather than 50. So it just depends on how you feel. Probably ownership's going to dictate a lot of this stuff. But 9,100, that's kind of where we'll leave it off at. And we're going to bounce. Didn't mean to keep you as long as I did, but I wanted to get some things out there, do a few different things with the show. Shout out Fantasy National for providing the search or the engine that powers the stats and all that kind of good stuff. And shout out to all my dudes in the Discord, all that kind of good stuff. Thanks for being there as a sounding board for, even though I might not be on there all the time with the as busy as I am with the horse racing now. But there's guys out there that keep things going. So best of luck this week. And until next time, see you soon.